Oh my goodness. What?
I'm
Good.
glad you're here, Herb.
Okay. Yeah. How you, Connie? How's life in the flatland down there?
Super terrific.
Okay, just so just so everybody's aware, we are live, so
Yeah. Well, that applies to Herb.
yeah. No off-color jokes, Herb.
I understand.
Not like you would do that, but
Oh no, not Herb.
Every once in a while that John pops out. You got to watch the John and Herb.
Will we have the new mayor here today?
I believe so. He was 50-50 on whether he was going to be able to make it.
We are expecting Linda Knox and Andrea, so we can wait a little bit.
Is John Evans coming? Or
Don't believe so. I didn't invite him, but
I think Linda Wardell's coming, isn't she?
Yes, she's supposed to participate. Yes, that's correct.
Ron, what's your pet seal's name?
I haven't named him yet.
Okay.
It was from the zoo. While I was
Ron,
off on.
how do you
Well,
do that? Get that as a
I-
background. How do you do
I thought it was your backyard.
My neighbors would swear it is sometimes.
How do you do that?
Oh, the background?
Yeah.
It is under audio video up in your menu bar.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 settings down, it says change virtual background.
Oh, neat.
Oh, I must not have sent Linda a link. She's just asking one. Hold on, Linda. I will get you one. Wasn't intentional. It was a bad trim job that I thought I was going to.
We just had a conversation.
Really? It was a bad job that I thought I was going to be able to fix, and I just had to.
Start from
I
scratch.
had to just start over, and I'm not a fan of it, dude. I feel like a 17-year-old boy.
See you, man. See you. Have a good one, too.
Yeah, you figured it out.
Yeah, but I want one like Ron's. I want a seal. How do you get your photographs in there?
When you pull the
Yeah.
thing up, if you will look down in the bottom, there's one with a plus mark on it. Click that plus mark.
Change virtual background? Oh.
Yeah. Go into
Connie,
that.
your background's a nudist colony. You better move it quick.
Oh, you're just jealous. That's great. Thanks. It's really fun. What do I do to shock Herb?
Well, let's see what you're going to do. All we see is it's a pretty purple behind you.
Yeah, well, I can't decide where to go from here, but I got to get something better than that. Don't worry, Lee. I'll shape up before the meeting starts.
Man, I guess there are miracles happen every day. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what you hope.
Officials for it. I guess he's up there. Somebody told me.
There she is.
It was. They said they heard they backed out of it.
Okay, we have Andrea and we have Linda Wardell.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Linda.
Great to see both of you, or actually, I can't see Linda Wardell yet, but I can see Andrea.
There, I should be there now.
There you are.
Very great, very great. I think we should go ahead and get started. We have a quorum for the Forestation Board.
That was just some residents down there, they heard that.
The first item on the agenda was the approval of minutes from December 13 meeting. Linda Knox distributed those. Did anyone have a comment?
Yeah, not tomorrow.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor? Aye, okay, so I think the motion is passed. The next item was Mayor Farnsley's update, but apparently he's not available. He's been very busy starting in a major new job. Ron, do you have any time with him? Or should we go proceed?
Find out.
No, that, like I said, he was 50-50 on whether he was gonna be able to make it, so. if
Right,
he's
yeah,
not
he
here-
told me that last week too. He was quite busy. So we could go into our consultants update. Andrea's there. Andrea, what can you report for us or comment on?
Well, I think you all know that the 2 trees were planted in last month. The one for Linda Wardell's husband's mother as a memorial tree, and the replacement tree for Cali Park. I also sent you a list, which I guess we'll get into later, of possible choices for the tree canopy program in an email yesterday, which I know Linda probably will talk about more. Is Linda on the call today? Linda Knox?
He's not on right now, but
Okay,
she's been working on the tree canopy program literature, and she revised the sheet that we distributed last year for the fall planning. And some of the major revisions were she took out any references to planning or in the right of way. And we raised the price that the resident would pay to $175 from $150.
right.
That's tentative, depending on actual price of the trees and any other miscellaneous things like what would the planning charge be? Would it vary from last year or not? Andrew, do you have any comment on that?
I don't think the prices would have changed. I have their fall, spring availability, and that usually covers. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any differences in price in the trees.
Okay.
I don't know about the planting, but I can check on that. I had some other comments about that, but I assume that's another agenda item. Is that right, Lee? A different agenda item for later, or?
On the fall,
Tree
it is a different,
canopy, Linda's tree
Canopy.
canopy letter,
Yeah.
or what?
it is a different agenda item. And also, we know that Sylvia Quay is now with us. Welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank
Hello.
you. Hi.
The only other thing I had, which it's early now, but I'm just gonna mention it, that it's been we postponed the ash tree treatments for an additional year. We were treating them every 2 years, and now we're into the 3rd year. I think it's been since 2020 that the larger trees were treated. I think there were only 5 of those larger trees we were treating back in 2020. So that may be that's probably something we should consider for this spring. Obviously, it's way too early even to be looking at them yet, but I just wanted to mention that for a spring item later.
Speaking of that, we're gonna want to reevaluate the one out back of City Hall that we've been treating. I think it may have it.
Right,
Last year, at the end of the year, before it dropped its leaf, 90% of the tips were bare.
right.
So.
Well, they'll all, the larger, like I said, we had it divided between 10-inch, under 10 inches caliper and
Mhm.
over 10 inches. And So there's just a few on that larger list. But we, you know, we would want to see how they're leafing out or observe if they're certainly dead or there may be not any point in treating any of them. I just want to bring it up that if they're if there's some that are still doing pretty well, I think we probably want to treat them. The drought last year was so significant that it's going to affect a lot of trees, as you know, during this year and next year, et cetera.
And
So
is it certainly possible that the small trees that have survived have now grown to be big trees? That is over 10-inch diameter.
well, the small trees are you mean the ones that were under 10 inches before?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they've
It's
grown.
possible. It's possible, you know.
So
So I mean, you know, we'll just have to see when we, you know, I can kind of get a sense of that as we go further, as we get into spring. It's a little early right now, but
yes, and that we'll make a little survey of the trees. I think that's an excellent suggestion. Yes.
so other than the tree canopy agreement, which I had wanted to bring up a few things on, I don't think I have any other comments right now.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the city certification. I think probably everyone here knows that we did, in fact, receive from the state the information that our tree city certification would go through. And we're really waiting now for a formal letter from the Arbor Day Foundation, which we could probably expect around early March. And we have to say thank you to everyone who's worked on this board to keep those certifications coming, and also to council. And we do have at least one council person on here who's been supporting this work financially. Any other comment about the tree city certification? Okay. The next item is a budget review or update. The council is considering a new budget for this fiscal year. That what happened, of course, is the previous council did not submit a new budget for the current fiscal year, which began last July 1. So we were continuing with the previous year's budget. But now a new budget has been proposed, and I sent out, and Linda Knox had sent out also information earlier as to how that could affect the forestation effort if, in fact, the budget as submitted is finally approved by council. Some of the items that are proposed is that the tree planting funds, including the canopy tree program, that's all grouped as one, would increase from $6,600 to $8,550. And we've spent very little of that today, although the bookkeeper's only showing we spent $261, but we must have spent a little bit more than that. Probably what she did was deduct from the tree planting costs the donated funds for Linda Wardell's husband's mother. Money was donated for that, actually primarily from the members of the Parks Committee, and they also have included in that request for a second memorial tree that would go into Little Hunting Creek Park. And another major change is the tree maintenance, which includes pruning and removals of trees on city land. Essentially, that budget as it existed was $20,000. We actually spent almost 21,000 already. So we have requested that the amount be increased to 40,000. This is a pretty arbitrary figure because we really don't know exactly how the trees are going to show up in the spring that were damaged by drought or by bad weather we may have between now and the spring. Those are the major changes that are included in the proposed budget. Once that budget is finalized, we can go over the other details unless somebody else has a question or comment.
Lee, did you say that 8550 number was for the tree canopy program? Is that what you had said?
Any trees we plant in general, okay?
Any trees?
And the tree canopy program.
Okay.
It's all grouped under one heading,
Okay.
but it would be, I think, sufficient. Since in the tree canopy program, the residents would be paying $150 or $175 of each cost. That's roughly half.
Right.
And we would have adequate funds to support trees. In fact, the details of the budget set for 15 trees. We'll see if we get that many orders, but the way it's written right now, we can discuss that. What Linda was working on it. Linda Knox was working on a draft of the advertisement, you might say, for the spring canopy program. She said tentatively 10 canopy trees. So we'll see what happens with the budget and with the resident interest. Those are the only comments I had on the budget. If nobody else has any questions, we could go to the next item, which is.
Did they have a first reading last night?
They did.
Okay.
Don Gibson could comment on that. He's on the council.
He gave a affirmative shake up and down. He gave that GE up and down shake.
Yeah, good. That's great.
Second reading scheduled for Thursday.
Okay, very good. So maybe we'll go ahead very quickly. That would be fine. So the next item on the agenda was the spring planning, and that is of major interest to everyone on the board and on Parks Committee also. So we learned just really last night that Mayor Evans, is one of his last action items as mayor, had contracted with Green Space for them to prepare a planting design, which I would assume would include bushes for Little Hunting Creek Park. And we tried to arrange to have the designer included in this meeting, but that didn't happen. So one key item would be maybe have a special meeting with the Green Space landscape designer, with Parks representative, with Andrea, and for the rest of the Forestation board or representative from Forestation board about that. Herb, can you comment on the status of the construction work and when that might be finished there?
Well, the grading work is all complete. There's a little bit of it's a 98.5% complete.
Okay,
And
very good.
really nothing's impeding planning except, this is January,
Yes. We were not going to be doing any planning right now, but
Well,
it looks like that when by the time we order trees, all the work in the park will be done. There'll be no interference.
Well, maybe I'll answer it another way. The contractor is not responsible for any planting. So, I mean,
Right.
the work remaining are strictly architectural items. So.
And it'll be done, I think, from what you're saying, well before we actually begin planting any new trees.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it still in the works to remove that ash tree and that the declining red bud that's leaning, that's at the end of the
Yes,
pavilion that we've been talking about?
yes.
Yes, okay. Just wondered.
Linda Wardell, did you have some comments or suggestions about the tree planting in Little Onion Creek Park?
Well, I'm not quite sure what to say about tree planting, because there seems to be a desire among some people to plant a bunch of trees and others not to plant many, if any, trees. And so I don't really know. Um, I don't really know what to say there. I think that if we are able to have a meeting with the Greenscapes designer, that would be helpful. In a side conversation that Herb and I had last week, he pointed out the fact that we removed 4 or 5 trees at the beginning of the build out. And, maybe we should be looking at replacing. I know we don't want to have a bunch of trees where we think people are going to be sitting for programs in the pavilion, or something that would impede throwing a frisbee or balls in that grassy area. Certainly, it seems like if we're going to have an area with some benches and picnic tables, it might be nice to have some shade there. But I guess I don't have a real idea of what we really want. I think that needs to be talked about.
Yes, that's for sure.
Linda, who would be against that? You said there were people that weren't for it.
Well, at least the original plan that was discussed, that had a lot of some trees by the new parking area. I know Mayor Evans was not in favor of some of the trees that were proposed there.
Why?
I think there does need to be an understanding and a consensus of what is really wanted and how the spaces are going to be used and what would be most appropriate.
I think the other thing to consider is, or keep in the back of your minds, is that it's possible we may lose a few more trees that were in that construction site. The root damage coupled with on some of those trees, a couple of those red buds and some perimeter trees may become more apparent as we get through, as we go forward here into the growing season, coupled with the drought that was going on at the same time. So some of those trees may have gotten a double whammy, and it might not even be apparent till next year, but over time, it's likely that you may lose another couple trees in that area. So, just going forward for planning purposes to take that into account.
We had
I think the idea of getting people together would really good. Excuse me.
you're breaking up.
Did he take a different call?
He's taking a call on his phone. Oh, I guess we didn't come first.
Well,
There's
there needs to be some consensus before you meet with the Greenscapes designer, for you all the parties involved on your all's end to come up
I'm
with.
sorry, excuse me.
Are you there, Herb?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to take a call. Sorry. But anyway, the last is, let's find out what's under contract or not under contract, and then get our heads together. Let's meet at the site. We have a pretty good idea of what it is. And I think definitely the big open land, I don't think anybody ever thought about trees there, but there is, like Linda Wardell just said, there is there's in the plan a picnic area, and right now it's in an area there's no trees.
Yeah, well, I just can't imagine having a picnic, in bright sunlight in the summertime. Who would want to do that? Two,
Yeah, that's why I think we get together and, you know,
Yeah, it might be worthwhile to get a hold of and understand his concern. I think one of the things that was envisioned is having various performances in the pavilion. And I think it may well be, he didn't want trees to interfere with the sight of those performances. But just to clarify, it mentioned earlier that John had some concern. I understand what his concerns are, and maybe we can move forward after that.
that's great.
Sounds good.
The other related comment I had, we had more or less committed to 2 memorial trees there. Specifically one for Paul Davis, who's the deceased president of the Fox Harbor Homeowners Association. $500 was donated to put a tree there, and we had talked with Nancy Davis, the widow, about an oak tree to be located very near the playground apparatus. And the second memorial tree was for Linda Waddell's mother. Do you have any comment on that, Linda?
I had originally suggested Little Honey Creek Park just because my mother was always very involved with children, and I thought, with the playground there, it would be kind of nice. But I'm not. I guess I'm okay with a memorial tree for her to go any place. So if it doesn't make sense to do one in Little Honey Creek Park, we could find another location. My initial thought was that she always liked flowering trees. So maybe if we're going to replace one of the red buds, that would be, that might be something that would work. But I'm very much open to what makes the most sense for the location and also, what tree is going to do well wherever we want to put it.
Okay. I think we could probably work it out for a Little Hunting Creek Park, but maybe the next action item is to actually arrange a meeting with the green space person to see what actually has been proposed. Ron, can you coordinate that, or how should we do that?
Sure. Let's hold off till after the mayor has a meeting with them. and
Okay,
then I'll set something up.
when would that be about, right?
We are meeting Thursday.
Okay. And we have to consider, Andrew, we certainly want you to be in on that. We need to consider your schedule also.
Sure. Well, you just have to let me know when you're thinking about getting together after
Right.
the mayor meets with them.
Okay, so we can all work that out. It's not that time sensitive. Okay.
All done before the end of the year, I guess.
Ron, just for your note, I won't be available the 20th or 21st. I'm having cataract surgery.
Oh.
There's no other discussion about Hunting Creek Park. Last fall, we'd also talked about planning in some other city-owned areas, such as the entrance to the landings where trees that have died off. Ron, you had some suggestions along that line. Do you want to comment about that?
There is room for at least 3 small flowering trees on the right-hand side going into the landings, or there will be when I take the bushes out.
Yes.
And there's room for 2 in the median along Fox Harbor.
Okay.
Is there some trees coming out of that median in Fox Harbor?
No, but there's one open space now where there used to be a tree, and
Yeah, that's that
smaller.
tree.
Yeah.
I remember that small tree, right? It got
Yeah.
killed by water of all things, right? It would need a tree that could tolerate a fair amount of wetness.
So you're gonna take out those junipers, Ron, that bed of junipers on the right side of the landings? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yeah. You know the ones I'm talking about exactly.
Right.
They look horrible.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, we can make some recommendations of trees for,
Sure.
it's it's typically a fairly shaded, wet area all along there, as I recall, but, some flowering trees, you know, could tolerate that, so, or tolerate the shade or partial shade. I guess I should say. There's a blue spruce, I think, in that area that's not doing well either.
Yeah,
Might be
that's
on
gonna
your-
come out too.
Okay, well, that'll make some more room too. And that, so, I can we can all look at those areas, but I can make some suggestions too, if you want me to.
Yes, please do.
It seems to me am I wrong, Ron, the middle of the Fox Harbor entrance meeting, isn't there a shrub that keeps coming back that looks like a tree, like a deciduous holly or something like that? More in the middle of it? Or is that the one that, do we take out a Japanese maple? Is that the one you also took out?
No, we lost a dogwood out of there.
Okay.
I'm still not convinced water took that because that dogwood had been there for
Right,
as long as I've been here. So it was for a dogwood. That's a while.
right.
Um,
I can look at it again. I was just
Yeah.
trying to remember from memory, but I'll look at it.
Okay, any other comment about planning on city property, proposed planning of this spring?
Well, the good thing about those locations that Ron mentioned is I think they both have irrigation, so
they're
that.
both
that would help.
irrigated.
Yeah, that's a big plus because we don't know what we're gonna get in terms of drowning, or both, you know?
Yeah,
Exactly. We have no,
I'm going for both this year. We've had drought last year.
yeah,
California's certainly getting its share of
Yeah, they
both.
are.
All right.
that's for sure.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the canopy tree program. Linda Knox has been doing a lot of work on that, and she's online now. Linda, do you want to talk about that?
I apologize. I don't know why my system wouldn't let me get in, but here I am. We had the document that was developed by before we started the program, and it went out last year, and we didn't have the original document to work with. And we've also since discovered that we don't have to do right-of-way planting. And so I took the document that had been done before and took that copy out and added in some of our new tree varieties. And you all should have gotten a copy of that last night, whether you've had a chance to look at the agreement. But I know Andrea had looked at it and she had a couple comments and some other suggestions, and we had some dates that need to be figured out for this spring so we can finalize it and get it out to everybody.
Okay, is this what's going out to the homeowners associations?
It would be a email blast. It would go to the associations. It would go to, this would what somebody would use to make a commitment for a tree. We had the article in the last newsletter that talked about the program, and here is how to participate in the program. You sign up for what tree you want, and you make a commitment to all the bullet points.
Well, I noticed in Andrea's tree list, she had oaks. Are you sure that people are going to want to plant oaks? They're just so large.
Well, that's
I'm
the canopy
thinking about
tree.
what did you say, Linda?
Because canopy trees are normally the bigger trees.
Are these trees going to be, did you all end up deciding they could be planted, they're going to be planted in the fronts of the properties, or
No.
you're going to let them be
Anywhere.
planted? And I thought we ruled out the backyards and stuff, didn't we?
Well, at one time, when we found out that people like the courts, their front yard is so limited.
I
And,
thought we said they could plant them any place.
We
Yeah,
did,
that's what-
but what's not in that document is if they choose the backyard, it may be a greater expense.
It's
for
gonna
the
be a
plant.
different planning price. for sure.
Right,
Yes.
right.
It's not in there, so that's a change that needs to be.
I mean, let's face it, our yards are not, we're not, people don't live on estates here, less. I mean,
there's-
the front yard, backyard,
Well, there's some pretty big properties in Hunting Creek, for instance, and some other areas, Herb.
That's true.
I don't think, I mean, again, we talked about this before, was the access for the planners. The original price, just so you know, was to be able to pull up to the front yard, either on the street, along the street, or perhaps the person's driveway, and offload the tree and plant it. I know from other experiences planting trees in different communities that sometimes homeowners pick some pretty out of the way areas of their properties to plant trees. So they just need to, there may be some cases where the price would.
Well, what exactly are we talking about that has to get into the backyard to plant these trees? Like a backhoe or something?
Oh,
Or is it just
sometimes they
digging?
would just use a ball cart. They might move it by hand, or sometimes they might use a little bobcat or something like that.
I can't believe that would be so much more money.
I'm not saying it's going to be a lot more, but I'm just saying there may be a variation of the price. I don't know. I haven't spoken with the planner.
Yeah.
Just
And
mentioned.
the
I
backyard.
thought I
location-
didn't realize you had gone back to doing the whole yard, so that was new for me today, so.
It opens up where every resident, is now capable of, has the opportunity to be in the program rather than the ones that have these just unbelievable, very narrow front yards areas.
Yeah, I agree. It's much better to open it up. I mean, we want trees, right?
Well, and the thing about it, if it does turn out to be more expensive, that means we do have some money for other plantings. We just need to hold back.
And I don't think it's going to be a significant number. I just was mentioning it as a possibility. But
Yeah.
if you change it to the whole yard, do you want to still call it a tree canopy plan or
That's
program?
a good
Because it's
point.
not really I thought the original thought process was, when we got started with this, and now it's changed, was to do plant trees where they grow over and canopy over the streets. And so that's changed a little. I don't know if you want to keep
Well,
it.
I mean, can a canopy be over a lawn?
Well, can't we say like, if you plant it in the backyard, it's going to be, I don't know, $50 more or something? And if you plant in the front yard, it's better. I mean, pass it on
We'll just have to find out, Connie. I don't
Yeah.
think we know right now.
yeah.
Yeah, we're in the maybe. Let's get out of the maybe, and we need to have we need to have something. So if you
Yeah.
if
I
we
have
keep
another-
playing around with maybe, so we'll see how it works.
I have another suggestion that I'd like you all to consider though with this program. And I've done it in several different communities over the years, and this worked pretty well. It's just a little tweak. So basically, as Linda has indicated in the body of the agreement, once the homeowner picks up the marking flag and then marks the location, then the planners are going to call Bud, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we ought to have 2 flags for each tree, for each home residence. So just bear with me. So the first flag, the homeowner will pick up and they'll put it in their yard where they want the tree. Bud will come and mark the utilities. And then somebody, as I've indicated the last go round with this, needs to go back and check. In addition to the homeowner, somebody needs to go back and check that the flag location for the tree is far enough away from the utility lines. And so I would suggest that we put some what I've done in a couple areas is we've had one flag for the homeowner to put the flag in, and then myself or a member of the Forestation board can, after the utilities are marked, just run by and check and be sure that the flag is still good, or if it needs to be slightly moved according to where the markings are. And then once it's approved and we're good with it, the second flag goes in. That just tells the homeowner that the location has been approved by the Forestation Board and or city, and they're good to go. If there's some issue with where they have the flag, which does happen, believe it or not, sometimes people want to plant, in some, very tight locations, or in an area where a tree just came out or something like that. Or again, where too close to a gas line or electric line or whatever, we would call them and just say, hey, we'd like to move your flag, a little bit.
I think that's a great idea.
So anyway, the two flag process just means that it's approved and good to go. And if there's any problems with the location, we can always call them and get that straightened out.
That's a great idea.
And I think members of the Forestation would be willing to, we all live in these different neighborhoods. They didn't like, a big distance, so.
And then, let's see, there was just a couple other little things, just like it says that, maybe Linda, I was thinking that where it says, I think it's the third to last sentence, it says the professional tree planters hired by the city will contact Bud to request the public utilities be marked. And then, like I had just mentioned, I would add a sentence there maybe that says, like, once the utilities have been marked by whoever, the city arbors, the Forestation Board, or whatever, a second flag will be placed to mark the approval of the planting location. And then something like that. And where it says the trees will be planted in late March, I would put weather permitting. Sometimes depending on weather, it could go into early April. I just want to give us a slight amount of leeway. I mean, we see what the weather did to us last fall, where we were planting trees in December. So when they're normally planted in November.
That's a good point.
And then I had sent out the other thing is on the tree list. I mean, if you don't want the oaks, we can put something else. That's not, what did I do here? Did I lose you all?
I'm on.
I lost my picture of you. What did I do here? I don't know how to get back. I don't know where you are now.
We can hear
We
you.
can see you.
We can hear you fine. Actually, Andrea, I can see you.
I can see you.
I can't do it.
I lost you somehow. But anyway, I'll just keep talking.
The tree list.
If you don't want the larger trees, we can, I can we can figure out some other trees. The reason that Armstrong red maple was on that list again is it's a very narrow 15-foot wide growth, width at maturity. And for some of the smaller yards, like in the condos or some very tight areas, sometimes that tree would work the best. So I know we had a couple condos that asked for trees in the past and it didn't work out because their yards were so small. So I was that's why that tree was on that list. Just
I think
FYI.
those are all good suggestions, Andrea. I just had two comments. One, on the tree list where we talk about scarlet or bur oak.
You need to pick one.
Yeah, we
It's
could.
just for you all to discuss and see what
Right.
you want to do.
Whatever, I think whatever you recommend, actually.
Some
Just
of these
one,
trees, the black gum, the white oak, the swamp white oak, and all the oaks there are best planted in the spring. So Connie asked, or somebody asked why we put a big oak on there. And that was just because they would be available in the spring rather than in the fall. There's some fall dig risks with certain types of oaks. So if anybody wanted an oak, some of the oaks are better planted in the spring.
Well, from our fall planting, when we give the trees away, they seem to always prefer small flowering trees.
Well, flowering trees is a totally different. I mean, that if you want to offer flowering trees, that's a totally separate thing from you know, the shade trees we've been talking about. So you all
Yeah.
will have to discuss that and decide what you want to do. But
Yeah, that's a
I
totally
think
separate
you want to,
program.
I do think you want to be keeping with shade trees, in my opinion, because you're trying to reduce the urban heat island effects. You're trying to
Mhm.
increase canopies to have larger areas be cooler and, you know, be shaded and so forth.
You're right.
Most homeowners can buy their own flowering trees pretty easily or get them in the fall from your giveaway.
Right.
Mhm.
And they tend to be smaller, physically as delivered, so it's easy for the homeowner to plant that giveaway tree.
Yeah.
Actually, what I did.
Good
So,
point.
choice then between the scarlet or burr, which one would you recommend, Andrea?
Yeah, I mean, they're both nice trees, Lee. The bur oak might be a slightly easier to transplant, so maybe I would say a bur oak.
Yes, say burr oak, right. I'm just trying to avoid the homeowner being confused about that. And the other thing, it's great that you're willing to do this, but I definitely think that you ought to be accompanied by a Forestation board member just to make it easier, you know?
Sure, that's
I
fine.
don't want you,
I thought
I
about
don't
that
want,
too. It does either way, sure.
yeah, I think if at all possible, we should try to have someone from Forestation board go along with you. We'll see how many come up. If we're gonna limit it to 10 trees, it's not gonna be really burdensome if we share a little bit around the Forestation board members to go with you, just to make sure that access there and aren't any issues that you have to deal with by yourself.
Okay, sure.
Okay, anything else as so way of comments about the canopy tree program? And one might be the schedule as to when we're going to finalize all this.
Right. Let me back up 1 second. I forgot, and I'll get to that, Lee. The other thing I was thinking of though is somewhere on there, I'm trying to see, maybe on the sentence where it says trees may not be planted within 10 feet of overhead utility internet or cable lines. Or, and I was thinking about recommending to you all to add, or within, you know, 5 feet of where another tree was recently removed, because a lot of times in these tree planting programs in residential areas, homeowners want to plant it a new tree smack where an old tree was just removed, you know, where the stump was just ground or right next to a stump of a tree. And there's a lot of tree roots in those areas, and it's just not a good planting site. And so, to give these new trees a good chance of survival, recommend that they not do that. So we run into that at least almost every time there's a planting program like this. So I wanted to mention that to you to think about that.
It's a good one. A good
Having
comment.
to move, not plant within 5 feet, or it could be 4 feet or whatever you say, where another tree was recently removed.
Linda Knox, you're working on this. You can
Yeah,
incorporate
so
that too.
some of the key modifications we will want to make on that would be including the not planting within a 5-foot range of a recent tree removal, the
Right.
process for the second flag, weather permitting on when it's going to be planted. It would be a bur oak as a choice rather than the scarlet. And I think those were the key items. And
Right.
backyard planting.
Right. And then also I had a note on mine to mention, somehow if you're going to fit that, if a utility will interfere with the planting or whatever, however you want to word that, now that we're going to make a couple other little changes, you might add instead of contact City Hall for alternate planting locations, since we're going to go out and check anyway. We should probably say if a utility will interfere with planting, the homeowner will be contacted by the city or the Forestation Board or somebody, in other words, if we go out and check and we decide, well, their flag, darn it, is still on top of an electric line and we have to contact them, we're gonna contact them, not wait for them to contact us, right?
So you could eliminate that altogether. And
Right.
just refer to our kind of being in the driver's seat on that one.
Okay, yeah, you could do that. Yep.
Okay. Okay, I think I've got all the key points we want to modify this with, so let me get to work on that and I'll send it out for everybody to look at and continue to fine tune.
And then we need a date, right? We
We
need
do
a
need
date
dates.
when they're gonna be planted, right? Well, you have late March, and when to send these out? Is that what we need a date
We
on?
want to send these out as soon as we can, but then I guess the question is, when do we have them back and how much time do you have to get an order
Yeah,
to plant?
right. I guess they could be back. I mean, do you think you would get them out like in the next week or two or a
I
couple
hope so.
weeks?
I think that's important. We're
Okay.
we're gonna run out of time otherwise.
All right, well, I'm looking at February. Maybe February 17th or February 20th at the latest, something like that.
Okay,
20th
so
is a
we would want
Monday,
the tree
17th.
order and check by February 20th. And then the other date that we needed is the first flag would need to be put in the ground by the 1st of March. What do you think? Or March 15th?
No, let's see here. I'm looking here. I think once you get the utilities marked, you have 3 weeks to plant, as I recall. So, see, they get their orders in on the 20th. We want to plant by the end of March. I think they should be in by, how about March 10th or
Okay.
March 8th or something like that?
That's
Make
when
it
they
an,
should have their
make an
orders
even
in.
number 10 is good.
10?
And just to clarify that, March 10, the resident would have to have the order in, is that what you're saying?
No,
They have to have the order in by the 20th of February.
February.
And then
That's right,
they
yeah.
should pick up their flag. Maybe they need to pick up their flag the first week of March and have it in the ground by the 10th,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
Yes, and if there's any wobbling about the date, I'd move it earlier. We, even in our program we had before, people
Well,
were
you could do
calling.
March 3rd. You could do March 3rd, and then we would have time to go by and check them and, still, well, no, let's see. We need to call Bud. Let's say I think if we called Bud on March 6th or the beginning of, or the contractor does, but let's see, 1, 2, 3. It's hard to know if the trees will be ready the last week of March, first week of April. It's in that range. I'm thinking here. I think they're going to put their flag in. Let me see here. Yeah, I'd say, why don't we have them get their flag in by March 10th seems a little late, so I don't know, move it up a little bit, whatever you all think. You want to do it by the beginning of that week, March 6th? That way they'd have the weekend before if they haven't put it in yet. March 6th, and then we'll check them, and then we'll call Bud. You'll have the contractor call Bud the end of that week, like the 10th.
Okay.
So flags in by March 6th, right? And order the tree order, their order needs to be in by February 20th, right?
And that they could pick up the flag anytime after February 20th, and it just
Yeah.
needs to be in place by March 6th.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
I think that'll be good.
think that's all the dates we need to plug in, as well as the other
Okay.
changes, so I can get to work again. Good deal.
Do we include, with the professional planning that they put in mulch also?
Yes.
Hey,
Because
It's
so
hey,
mulch
considered.
hey,
might-
hey,
might be mentioned.
we're building, excuse me, we're building this thing. Come on, you gotta keep it as a written thing. They know how to plant, they'll plant it. Let's don't over,
With mulch, right.
Well,
So-
you already have the tree, yeah, professional installation, so,
So in other words, the planters are gonna put mulch?
yes, they always do.
And
Yes,
what
ma'am.
about a tree guard?
That's
A
in
tree
the-
guard,
That's
yes.
on the
there.
canopy agreement that Linda has.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Is that in discussion on that program?
So they will have to call. Let's see. Yeah, they're gonna put their flag in, that's right, by March 6th, and then they'll call Bud by around March 10th. Okay, yeah, we're good. I was just looking at that one more time. Okay. Sounds good.
okay.
Okay, we're done with that. The next agenda item is other. Is there any other item for discussion by the board?
I guess
Apparently
not.
Okay, then the next meeting date, our second Tuesday happens to fall on Valentine's Day. So you want to bring candy and flowers.
Absolutely.
how about, how about birthday gifts too? Cause Herb's birthday's the 15th.
Oh,
that
is
too?
it?
The bigger
Or
party?
you could take home all the flowers and candy.
Guys, I will be out of town that week. That is my 30th wedding anniversary, and I will be in Las Vegas. So,
Oh.
That won't work for the broadcast.
nope. And if I think during my trip out there, if I stop to do a FaceTime or a WebEx,
No.
I'm
That
gonna end
might
up
be
in trouble. And sorry, I love you guys, but you're not worth me getting beat.
Right.
Oh, you would be eat.
Just save enough money to get home.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't make a change that date. And Andrew, one of your schedules often the most critical.
Well, I mean, do you want to do it the next week or are you saying you want to?
Will the 21st work, Ron?
Yes, I will be back
Maybe we could
the
just do it the
20th. So, yeah. 21st
I'm
be
not
fine.
available the 21st.
Yes, I'll be back on the 20th. So,
Well, that'd be good then, but we'll know if we have any tree orders in by February 20th, hopefully.
Oh, that would be
We could
good.
discuss that on the 21st. If we have the meeting date on the 21st, right?
Does
Is that what
anybody else have a conflict with the 21st meeting date?
I do.
You do?
Yes, I will be traveling that day.
Okay, that's not good then.
What about if we go back to the
22nd?
14th and do it in person for a change?
there you go.
Yeah, I'm all for it. We'll meet in the library. That's where Parks
Yep.
met just last week.
Okay. And then go back to WebEx for the next
Yeah, I
one?
think we should go back to WebEx after that. I mean, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, let's do the 14th.
Okay.
Herb
In
really wants
person.
the flowers and the candy, evidently.
That's right.
And the birthday cake.
Only for you, Andrea.
The only thing I could say is if you do it later the next week, you would have an idea to discuss how many
That's
orders are in
true.
and so forth. Since we're
I
at-
tell you, the 21st doesn't work really for me, to be
or
honest.
the 22nd, could be, I was just throwing that out there, but
I can do the 22nd from out of town.
Do the 22nd.
I can too. It's Ash Wednesday.
yep. What do you think, Lee?
All right with me. I don't have anything on the February calendar. That would be meeting after the council meets, but we've done that now. This will be the third time in a row, right? Where I can give them a preliminary report.
Well, I just thought, that would give you an opportunity to everybody know whether, how many orders we got in and if we need to try
Mhm.
to naggle
I'm
some
gonna
more.
need to, I'm gonna need to scat off, so see y'all next week.
Okay,
Next month.
Okay, thanks.
We're gonna meet the 22nd, is that right, Herb?
Yeah,
Okay,
21st or 22nd now? Oh, 22nd, that's right. Okay,
22nd WebEx.
okay,
Okay, 22nd, right?
yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
yes,
trying to clarify.
okay.
Is
Sorry, I
that,
couldn't get back on. I don't know. I'm not very
is that
technical.
WebEx or?
Yes,
No,
Is it
WebEx.
WebEx,
WebEx.
if it works for you, Ron, on
Yeah.
the 22nd, yes.
22nd's fine
Okay.
with me.
and it's the
Okay,
same
we'll do-
time? Do we have
Yeah,
the same
same
time?
time, 2 o'clock, right?
Okay.
Okay, all right.
I
Okay.
had you on the schedule, so.
Thank you.
Right, thanks very much to everybody, motion to adjourn,
Thank- Oh, I
Okay.
wanted to make a motion.
Okay.
okay. I second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting's adjourned and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, and I will
Bye-bye.
have an updated agreement for people to look at within a day or two.
Very
Thank you,
good.
Linda.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there we are. I finally figured it out.